What a weekend in Norman it was. The football team won a massive game over Michigan in front of the entire country, and it was one of the best atmospheres in Norman that I've ever seen, and I've been going to games my entire life. And on this massive weekend, with all of the excitement, OU softball hosted a big recruiting weekend, hosting 4 elite players on official visits in the 2027 class that included a Goose, a Batbuster, a top player from the Northeast, and another elite player from the state of California. Let's get you familiar with each player after the Sooners made an incredible impression on all of these elite softball players over the weekend. But quickly, please like and subscribe. We are all in on OU softball recruiting. Goose Hutchens interview dropped on Sunday night. Go check that out if you haven't already. But we do it all when it comes to covering Oklahoma softball. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know instantly every single time I drop a video. Look, I was in Norman all week, and I work in Norman. I think a lot of you know that, and I was at the football game on Saturday. So I think even though it wasn't a softball game per se, it was still an incredible display of Oklahoma as a university, Norman as a city, for all of these 4 recruits that were in. It was absolutely incredible. So many people were out, and you could just feel the excitement, feel the pageantry all weekend long, and certainly all day on Saturday. It's just one of those weekends, I think, where the kids go back, wherever they're from, and say, wow, Oklahoma, OU is absolutely incredible. The atmosphere, the energy, all of it's incredible. And that's all separate from the softball tour and the softball activities that they did over the weekend. All of that is incredible on its own. For such a big recruiting weekend, it was really an incredible display just all around from the beginning to the end of what Oklahoma is and what Oklahoma is all about. And I loved seeing the Loves Field scoreboard on Friday. As passed by it, that was awesome. These athletes knew immediately where they were when they arrived, as you see right there. Home of champions. But let's get to who was on campus this weekend. First, let's start with Goose Hutchens. If you're a Sooner fan, if you subscribe to this channel, that's a player that you're already familiar with in the 2027 class. And that's the player you're most familiar with, Goose. I did the one-on-one interview, like I said, on Sunday night, so check that out if you haven't already. She's Softball America's #2 overall player in the country and the #1 player in Oklahoma out of Wagner. It will be, guys, a very big deal if OU gets Goose in this class. Why? Well, she's the best catcher in the class. She can also play third base. She's excellent defensively, but she just has power that is extremely rare. Just not something that you see every single recruiting cycle. Tore her ACL and meniscus her freshman year of high school, and then came back and tied the Oklahoma high school home run record as a sophomore with 23. She also had a .656 batting average, .835 on base percentage, an OPS of 2.769, a slugging percentage of 1.94, 45 RBIs in 36 games in Goose's sophomore season. Just incredible. Really, either she was getting intentionally walked or trotting around the bases after a home run. That's her season in a nutshell. She's special, and no part of me hesitates to use that word when describing Goose Hutchens. Special softball player. And again, she did all of that. She accomplished all of that, all those numbers a year removed from a major knee injury. And with 2 years of high school softball left, what numbers might she put up before she's done? I don't know, but it's really fun to think about. Goose's favorite player is Kinsey Hansen, so yeah, it doesn't hurt OU's chances. Her favorite player was the best to ever do it at catcher for the Sooners. Kinsey was at the OU game on Saturday, so not sure if she got to stop by and see Goose or not. But the two have met before. Goose also told me that she'll be visiting Texas Tech this coming weekend that has trips set up to Texas, Arkansas, and UCLA. So could be a bit until Goose makes her decision, but Oklahoma's going to be tough to beat in this recruitment, and I've always thought that, and I still believe that today. Another recruit in town was the #1 player in Connecticut and the #7 overall player in Vivian Knott, a 5-star player via Softball America. She hails from Darien, Connecticut, and is a left-handed pitcher, a very good left-handed pitcher. She's even listed at 6 feet. She has great stuff, 68 mile per hour velocity, and listed as the #4 overall pitcher in the class according to Softball America. She's camped at OU before, was in Norman last April, and the Sooners are one of many schools that really wants Vivian Knott. She also plays first base as well, but her future is most likely going to be in the circle when it comes to college softball. I reached out to Vivian about her visit. You can see the graphic, just the quote that she said, and about her visit to Norman, how much she likes OU, how much she loved the visit, which is great to see. I mentioned the great stuff that she has, but she is such an intriguing prospect with such a tall frame coming from the left side. So she's already a fantastic pitcher. And you see some of the stats, but with the upside with Vivian, that's what's really fun to think about when you look at the measurables and project what she could be at the college level, especially with the velocity that she already has. And with Vivian Knott and every other player we're talking about in this class, you can't say this enough. They're just now juniors in high school. And some of the highlights they include, they look great, but they still have 2 years until they arrive on a college campus. There's so much time for these players to get better. And then, of course, the development that they're going to have once they get to campus. Just fun to think about what Vivian brings to the table in the circle. Would be another huge addition for OU's recruiting class. It really would. You love a legit lefty. That's what she is. She's the type of pitcher that last July in Colorado, huge summer ball tournament, elite prospects all over the place. Over 20 college coaches are there to see her pitch. A lot of people want her, not just Oklahoma. The great velocity, the devastating off-speed pitch that you saw in the highlights that has hitters falling all over themselves. There's a lot to like. There's a reason why Oklahoma is pursuing her. There's a reason why so many other schools are pursuing her as well. And there's more of those fun highlights from Vivian in the circle. Go check out her YouTube page, Vivian Knott. Go subscribe. She has a lot of good stuff there. You can see the tag there on the side of the screen. What are OU's chances? Well, I think OU definitely has a chance. Sounds like Northwestern is another school to look out for her. But as with any recruit, especially recruits that came in this past weekend, with the atmosphere that they saw, everything that they saw, Oklahoma's always tough to beat in recruiting, but especially the ones that were in this past weekend. Yeah, Oklahoma's going to be really tough to beat for those players as well. Next up is Riley Hilliard, a catcher out of La Mirada, California, the number 11 overall player in the class, the number 2 catcher, and the number 4 player in California by Softball America. She's a Batbuster. You know, this program loves their Batbusters. And Riley won the 14U Alliance Fast Pitch title a couple of years ago with the Batbusters. Hilliard is a catcher, but also plays third base. Could probably play both corner infield spots as well. Bats and throws right. She has a sister whose name is Reese. Reese is a middle infielder and the number 48 overall player in the class. Also a Batbuster, by the way. So both sisters top 50 players nationally, both exceptionally talented. I was told Riley was on the visit, but Reese wasn't. So maybe OU would take both sisters. I can't confirm that now. Maybe they would take both if they can. But when you have siblings, and you have siblings in the same recruiting class, you know, maybe it's happened before where sisters have gone their separate ways, but it kind of seems like more times than not, they almost always end up at the same school. So like if you're recruiting one, you're kind of recruiting the other. Would be a great duo to have if that's the direction that OU wants to go, and if that's the direction that the Hilliard sisters wants to go as well. Both are very, very talented. There's no denying that whatsoever. We'll see what happens for Riley Hilliard and what opportunities are out there when it comes to OU for her sister Reese. Lastly, another catcher was in this past weekend. Hollynn Gentry, number 13 player nationally, number 3 catcher, and the number 6 player in California as she hails from Ganesha, California. So the top 3 catchers for 2027 were in for OU this past weekend. Now, I could see why you'd say, wait, what? Why? Why would you do that? Especially when you consider that Kendall Wells will be a true freshman this year, and she's really, really good. But these players can play other spots. Goose can play third. These athletes are very versatile, so Hilliard can play either corner infield spot. I have no idea if OU is going to get all 3 of these players, and that might not be likely at all if they're all dead set on playing catcher at the collegiate level. But again, they can all play other positions. They're very versatile. They can hit the ball a ton. And Hollynn Gentry is in that group that can hit the ball a ton. Right-handed hitter, played club ball for Athletics Mercado, which is the same team that OU 2026 commit Kiele Ho-Ching plays for. And according to Line Drive Media, her stats for her high school season look like this. 422 average as a sophomore, 596 on-base percentage, 1.109 slugging percentage, 29 walks, 10 home runs during her sophomore season. So, those are the names that I could gather that were in Norman this weekend, and now we wait. Sit and wait. Who will be the first Go Boomer tweet? Will one happen soon? I think so. I think, once again, the month of September is going to be very active and bring us commits for the 2027 class. And I can't wait to see this class once it gets rolling for the Sooners. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But as always, guys, thank you for watching.